All right, I think we can get started now. So, hello everyone. My name is Nathan Awoon, and I'm currently the CAHSI scholar here at UTEP. And just today we're going to be talking about personal projects and how to start them, and just general tips and advice, as well as hearing from some UTEP students who have done personal projects and their experiences with them. If you feel comfortable and no pressure to do this, turning on your camera would be nice, but it's fine if you don't. And yeah, so starting things off, we're just going to talk about why make a personal project, right? And some of you probably already know all this stuff, but the biggest benefit to making a personal project is it gives you a story to tell to a recruiter. You know, when you have interactions with recruiters, you have only so much time to tell them enough about you that they'll be interested and want to schedule you for an interview. So if you have these personal projects and you have these stories that you can tell of well, I wanted to build this, I ran into these issues, and I ended up deciding not to do that. I pivoted to this, and this was the final product, right? Giving those stories and having those planned things that you can talk about is a really, really important thing that will help you get interviews, and those interviews will help you get jobs and internships and stuff. So personal projects are a great first step to getting that. And personal projects, there's so many different things that you can do with them that they really are an expression of who you are. So you can build stuff that you're passionate about, and if you're really passionate about something and your recruiter shares that passion, then you can connect over that, and they'll be more likely to give you an interview and things like that. So personal projects, really, really the main reason for me anyways, or that I think anyways, to build them is they give you these stories and experiences that you can talk about and really just show who you are to recruiters. Some additional things that they do, though, they help you learn new languages and frameworks. So if you're really interested in learning maybe JavaScript, or you're interested in learning React, or you want to learn machine learning, all of these things can be done through personal projects, and personal projects are nice because there's no pressure. So if you can't figure it out, it's okay, but you can try these things, you can try all these new things and figure out if these frameworks and if these technologies that you're interested in are things that you actually like. They also, if you're in early CS, they get you more comfortable with data structures and stuff like that. And even if you're in later CSs, or CS classes, they can help you get more comfortable with networking and things like that. They also help improve your communication skills, and with the recruiters, again, you can communicate what you did, and it helps with that. They improve your problem solving skills, and in general, they're just a fun way to become a better programmer. And that's the thing another thing that I want to emphasize is that personal projects should be fun. So some examples of things that people make, often personal websites are one of the first things that someone will make. If you're still an active student at UTEP, which all of us probably are, you can get a free one using GitHub Pages, just logging in with your, I think, EDU account. And you can host it and share it, and you can have it on your resume and all of that stuff. Discord bots are another pretty easy one to make, deceptively easy. I know I've found myself on Discord a lot this past year since the switch to online learning, and it's actually it really is deceptively easy to make a Discord bot, at least get started. So that's super cool. Another thing is working with an API. So a lot of times companies like Twitter, Spotify, the big tech companies have some public API. And basically, you can use this to interact with their servers and stuff. So one thing that you can do, if you really want to work for Twitter, you can make your own Twitter client. And you can make an app, you can make your fake Twitter, you can get tweets, and you can tweet to actual Twitter. So if you're really, really interested in working at Twitter, you can use their API, you can show them that you're really interested and that you built this thing, and it'll look really good towards applying there. Obviously, you can't do that for every company you want to apply to, but if there's one that's your dream company, that's definitely a good way to get familiar with their stuff and to stand out a little bit in the application process. Mobile apps are also great. Native iOS and Android are always good options, but you could also learn through a cross-platform framework. So Flutter and React Native have gotten a lot better lately, and they keep getting better. So if you're interested in developing mobile apps that'll work on both iOS and Android, you can learn one of those. You can maybe make an augmented or virtual reality app. You can make a game. You can explore machine learning through a basic program. There's so many different ways that you can approach personal projects, and they really are like whatever you're interested in, you can make. And even if you know nothing about it, you can still learn the things that you need to make at least a basic version of it. So in deciding what to make, the most important thing is to choose something that you're interested in and you think that'll be fun. The other stuff, it's good to know, it's good to do one if you want to learn a framework. It's good to do one if you want to learn like programming skills and get better and all of that. But it really, what you should decide, especially for your first one, is something that you think is fun and something you can get done. Also stuff that you have like an active interest in or stuff that you're invested in. So if you notice a problem in your life that you can solve with code, that is a perfect personal project to do because it's something that's very personal to you. You're going to want to get it done. And once you finish it, you're going to be proud of it. You can talk about it in detail. You can explain the problem that you had, how you thought of your solution, how you fixed it. And it's just a really good tool to explain, it's a really good thing to use with recruiters. But again, just do something that you're interested in. It's very easy to start a personal project and not finish one. So it's really important to choose something that you want to do so that you'll actually want to finish it. And so that kind of leads into motivation, right? So staying motivated is kind of a difficult thing, especially with all the things that we have going on in our lives, work, school, a social life, all of that stuff. It's also kind of hard to also do a personal project at the same time. So some ways that I've found that help motivate is to have a support system of some kind. So if you have a group of friends and you're all like CS majors or all interested in coding and you're all working on stuff, you can just talk about them with each other, like, oh, I built this thing for my project, or I built this thing, and just talking about your progress. If you get stuck, talking about what you're stuck on is like super helpful. Even if they have absolutely no idea about your project, the act of explaining what's wrong can do like a lot in your head to think about. You'll explain something and it makes perfect sense in your head, but it'll come out of your mouth and say, oh wait, that's the issue, thank you. And your friend will not even know what you're talking about, but it helps. Another thing is like competitions. So if you and your friends all want to make like a Discord bot, you can make a Discord bot competition, and you can have everyone contribute like $5 or $1 or maybe even no monetary reward, right? And you're like, okay, by the end of the month, we will all make this Discord bot. And at the end, you can have like maybe people who didn't participate judge, or you can each of you vote for the best one, stuff like that. And you can do that to like work on stuff together with your friends and have like some deadline and motivation, and you'll get it done, right? And that's the main thing, is having like a partner or a group of people to work on stuff with makes it easier to get it done. Another thing for me that like helps stay motivated is like setting limits on how much time I spend on it. So for me, I if I have 8 hours free and I want to build a personal project, I will spend all 8 hours on that. And like it's not like sustainable to do that, and it's really easy to burn out if you keep doing that. So if you set a limit, like, okay, I'm gonna spend like at most 2 hours today working on it, and then the next time I have some free time, I'll spend at most 2 hours. If you just like limit yourself, you won't burn out, and you'll still enjoy the project, and you'll still want to do it, and all of that stuff. And another thing that's just really important is to not take it too seriously. These are supposed to be fun, and it's okay if you set out to do something and you realize halfway through that you can't figure it out. There's a lot of different things you can do if you run into that dead end. You can maybe pivot your project to something else. Maybe you can set it down and come back when you have the skill set. But in general, it's okay if you don't finish. And again, with all the stuff we have going on in our lives with school, work, and everything, it's really hard to just get down on yourself, or it's really easy to get down on yourself and say, oh, well, I can't figure this out. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. It's like, all that stuff is very easy to come up, but just be kind to yourself. Everyone's going through a lot, and everything is okay if you don't, if you're not able to figure it out. And even sometimes taking an extended break from the project and coming back will you'll come back with fresh eyes, and you'll be able to figure out what was wrong, and then you'll be able to move on. So it's okay if you can't finish stuff. and just be, this is supposed to be fun. So if it's ever not fun, you should try and change the project in a way that will make it fun again, and that kind of leads into the next thing. So knowing when you're done is also super helpful with deadline or with staying motivated, right? Having a goal to work towards and a thing that you will eventually see is really good to your progress and being finished. And if you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, you can do it, right? So if you set a goal and you work towards that goal, and once you hit that goal, you can either say, okay, I'm done with this project, this is good, I'm happy with this, or you can say, well, okay, I want the app to do more. And you can add goals, and you can, depending on what your project is and what you're doing, like, goals are a good way to like sort of checkpoint yourself through the process. So you can say, okay, well, I want my app to be able to take pictures, and then use those pictures and maybe drop stickers on it. So you can break those up into separate goals. Get the camera working first, probably, and then getting stickers working, and then making the image save, and then suddenly it's a lot more manageable to deal with the project, and each individual step is a lot smaller. So breaking it down into goals, completing those goals, and then once you're done with the goals and you're happy with the project, you can add more, you can change your goals. If you reach a certain point where you're not done with all of them, but you have like a good amount of the goals done, you can also end it there. It's still something you can talk about, and it's still something that you can like show that you did all this work and you built. And it's still something to be proud of, even if it's not exactly your original vision. And projects change and evolve over time, all the time. And if you hit roadblocks and if you're unable to finish what your original vision was, it's okay. If you're happy with the current iteration, that's enough of a reason to stop. And those are pretty much the basic tips. Now we're going to talk about a few UTEP students' experiences with personal projects and their personal like paths through dealing with these. So we have David Reyes from Minor Cybersecurity. We have Jesus Hernandez from Internbytes, and Jennifer Sims from Women in Cybersecurity. Starting things off, Jesus is going to be talking about his experience with personal projects.
Hi, thank you for that, Nathan. So yes, I am a senior at UTEP in computer science. I only have one more semester left. And I'm just going to talk about the personal projects that I've done in my career, or in my educational career. The first one was actually an augmented reality app. It was my third semester in CS. I was basically just interested in augmented reality, and I heard about how personal projects can really boost your resume. Pokemon Go was really in, so I set out to learn myself. After just some YouTube videos and seeing if it was doable for me, I went ahead and bought some courses on Udemy, actually, to kind of learn how the process. I set some loose goals for myself. I wasn't very hard on any deadlines or anything. I wasn't very strict. What really helped me too was that I had a job with UTEP, and I would work on my personal project while working there, since I worked the night shift. I had a decent app in about 3 months. I was able to show recruiters. You were able to download it on your iPhone. It wasn't published, but you were able to using Xcode able to run it through on iPhone. So my next project, the one I'm working on currently, is called Internbytes. So we can, so Internbytes. That's what I'm working on right now. Internbytes.com. You can go check it out if you like, please. It's basically ratemyprofessors.com, but for internships. So I'm just going to talk about the path. When I came back from my internship, I identified that we need more resources to learn about internships. There aren't that many currently. In September 2019, I looked into trying to build ratemyprofessors.com and general web development. Before actually looking into this, I never had any prior experience in web development at all. I didn't know how to set up a website. I hadn't learned it yet in class. So this was it was a little challenging, but I used YouTube a lot. Stack Overflow was really helpful. And just Amazon Web Services documentation really helped. So after all this, it turns out you need some legal protection, since we are going to be posting reviews from anonymous students. And if a company ever wants to come out and kind of take that down, we need an LLC to help us just in case they want to sue or anything. So I went ahead in that, and when we first created the website, we weren't really thinking of it becoming like an entrepreneurship kind of thing. That was kind of like secondhand. So we created this LLC. We started working a little faster on the website. January 2020, we had a static website up, so you were able to go on to internbytes.com and everything. Let's skip to August 2020 when the beta version came out. So we started asking people to write the review and everything, and we saw how this could be kind of like a startup basically. So Studio G came out. It's a UTEP business accelerator. We joined and we did some competitions with them. We won third place. Then from that, we had a woman named Maria Fiscal reach out to us and ask us if we want to participate in a Blackstone Launchpad competition. If we wanted to put Internbytes in there. It was really great. It was a pitch competition, so we had mentorship with some Blackstone executives. My mentor was actually the vice president, Mr. Alex Black. So we had 3 sessions with him. He kind of told me how to do a business pitch, and it was really interesting. In the end, we didn't win, but the first prize was $25,000, and we did get a $500 participation prize for being on the semifinalists. And yeah, just to talk about the website a little bit, like what frameworks we use Node.js, JavaScript, backend, CSS. We use Bootstrap with CSS for the front end, and Amazon Services web hosting. And again, we didn't have any prior experience. The reason I chose is because, well, I actually have 2 other students from UTEP working on it with me as well, but we were very passionate about getting internships for everyone. So with that passion, we were able to create this website, and every single recruiter talks about it, and then every interview they talk about how we made it, all the problems that we got, and it's really helpful when you're interviewing, especially because when they ask you like, oh, tell us a story or tell us a time about you did a problem solving thing, or when you had to meet a deadline, or a lot of questions. Actually, I can always go back to my personal project, and if it doesn't pop up as we want to, it'll always be on my resume, and it'll always be there to be there for recruiters, basically. So yeah, that's my story. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesus. So next up, we have Jennifer talking about her experience with publishing papers and getting an internship.
Hi, everybody. I hope y'all are doing fine. It's finally Friday. So my experience is really all from when I first started. I was at EPCC, and I was in CS1, or that's COSC 1436 is how we would say CS1 over there. And I just really was curious about cybersecurity, and I didn't know what I wanted to do yet. So Google became my best friend, that and Google Scholar. And I was just looking up what encryption was, how it was done. And one thing led to another. And then I asked my CS professor over there, Dr. Sedveen, for more resources. And so he gave me a couple of books, some more, some PowerPoints and everything he actually did. So after we kind of just went through these, let's talk about it and see where exactly you want to go with your cybersecurity research. He said that we should just, turn what I'm already doing into a paper. So at EPCC, there's something called enhanced honors. And with that, you have to write a paper, which will get published if it gets cleared. And then you have to stand in front of the deans of the college and defend your paper against them. So that was a really big thing. And so I ended up doing that, and the paper got published. So now it's online and anyone can always get it. So I have the URL link on my resume. And the thing with that paper is I went to the HENAC conference, the Great Minds in STEM, the last time it was in person, about 2 years ago. And I had that on my resume, of course, and I had some interviews and I got a couple of different offers. And it was just really great because, you know, the interviewers, they had their laptop there, and they went and they could see the actual paper, and we would talk about it during the interview process. So that was a really good starting off point. And so that led me to have the internship I currently have. So I do cybersecurity research for the Army. I started back July 6th, and it was a great internship because it actually turns into a career. So once I got hired, I am there until I, you know, graduate, and then once I graduate, it turns into a full-time position. So it's just really great. And since I had multiple offers, I could kind of, you know, talk with them about my starting salary. So it's just really great to have that resource on your resume because it just it leads for a lot of internship offers as well as career offers. And it's just a really great starting off point. So the best thing I could probably say is just, you know, start out with Google, see what, if you want to do research, and that's what the type of personal project you want to do, always start off with Google, get a topic, and then find a UTEP professor that, you know, specializes in that research topic. You know, try to meet with them and just, you know, start going from there. So that's pretty much it. Thanks, Nathan.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have David talking about Capture the Flag and just the various different opportunities in cybersecurity for personal projects.
Yeah, thank you. So quick. So I like to participate in Capture the Flag competitions. Capture the Flag competitions are basically computer security hacking competitions where you have a series of challenges and go through those and try to find this little thing that they call the flag, which is you can submit it and you gain points from it. Essentially, I've participated in many of them, and they've kind of all accumulated into my personal projects. And these, I feel like they're important because, yes, you are doing some coding, because many times in these competitions, the challenges require you to do some sort of coding in a language of your choice. But also, after the competition finishes, you're encouraged to do what they call write-ups. And essentially, write-ups are just you explaining how you were able to solve the challenge. And, you know, these write-ups are effective in communicating, you know, the high-level concepts that you use to solve the challenge. And, you know, being in an engineering field, and when you go through all your classes from software 1 to software 2, you have to start explaining high-level concepts effectively. So this is a great opportunity to start practicing that. From a cybersecurity side, and at least in my experience, these write-ups do help the employers see your thought process, because, you know, many of the write-ups that I've seen, people are just kind of explaining where they stumbled, how they stumbled, and then how they finally found the solution, either by using Google or by just playing around until they found the solution. Again, like I said, they can include small levels of code, so, you know, you can put that in there. And really, the way you really start is you find a Capture the Flag competition that's happening, that you're interested in. Start solving some challenges, and then after, at least for me, I found a few write-ups that had a specific format that I really like, so I started kind of copying that format. For instance, I really like going back and explaining a lot of the theory part, and then explaining the challenge and explaining how I solved the challenge. So it's really, that's the format that works for me. And using Git and GitHub pages, along with Markdown, I was able to, that's how I create my solutions and my write-ups. And then if I need to add graphics and things like that, I'll use GIMP, which is just a free like drawing tool, kind of like Photoshop, but for Linux and Mac, and it's completely free. Regularly, I get asked by interviewers if I participate in Capture the Flag competitions, because, you know, being a student in cybersecurity, it's a lot. You don't get that much exposure to working in industry, in an actual security industry, because of security clearances, or, you know, you just don't know where to start, right? So a lot of employers do look at students that have participated in Capture the Flags as, okay, let's let's see where they are and what they know, and then we'll build from there. So I do get asked by interviewers if I participate. Obviously I say yes, and just on my resume I have links. I have a link to my personal website where employers can actually go in and see. And many of the times, that's what kind of they go by. As you've seen, I mean, we've all seen that in many of the job descriptions, they ask for effective communication skills. So yeah, doing a write-up is a very good way to show that you can effectively communicate high-level ideas. And they could be, you could have them for all levels. So you can have some that are just going through tutorials and explaining things, and then if you're going to do a challenge that requires a high level of skills to solve it, you can just explain that more easily. Thank you.
Thank you, David. So next, I just want to quickly talk about this. So I have a list of resources in a Google Doc right now. At the moment, it's a little bit bare. I'm going to be adding stuff as I start thinking about more resources and stuff. If you have any additions that you want to see on this, any suggestions, or any topics that you want to see, feel free to email me and I'll add them to this. And hopefully this will be a growing document of just all these different resources that you can use to build your personal projects. The last thing that we're going to do for this presentation is a quick Q&A. So if you have any questions for anyone who spoke today, please feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll be able to answer those. So yes, I've done a few personal projects. Probably the one that I am most proud of came from, it started as a class project, but then it evolved a little bit and I used it and kept building it. So at the start of last year, and not really the start, but at the start of the pandemic and quarantining, I was playing a lot of Animal Crossing. And I was also taking a class on mobile app development using Flutter. And so in Animal Crossing, I spent a bunch of time. I really enjoyed it. And my favorite thing about that game is the museum. And you can build little exhibits and collect dinosaur bones and fish and bugs and all that stuff. And I always, every time I play an Animal Crossing game, set out to finish that museum, and I never do because I never stick with the game long enough to. But the one area that you definitely can finish within a few months is the fossil area. But I was really frustrated because the game had no way of easily telling you which fossils you had and which ones you didn't. So I kind of, part of this was me wanting to learn databases and mobile app development and stuff. Because the solution to this, the simple one, is just have an Excel sheet that has the fossils and a checkbox if you have them or not. But I wanted to learn databases and use Flutter and all of that stuff. So I built a Flutter app which runs on iOS and Android. And it's basically a checklist for all the things in the museum. It lets you filter. It lets you check off how many fossils you have, so you can keep track of what you have, what you need, and what you can trade. And that was the first project, or not the first project, but that's one of the projects that I'm proud of with the final result. And as far as resources to Flutter, so I don't know React very well. I do know Flutter pretty well, and actually, at some point, either this semester or beginning of the summer, there's probably going to be a workshop about Flutter, so you can learn it there. Or Flutter has a lot of resources on UTEP and stuff, or not UTEP, sorry, YouTube. They do this thing called Widget of the Week, where they'll talk about an important basically Flutter class that you can learn, and it's a good way to get familiar with it. There's also, I don't remember if it's free or not anymore. For a little bit last year, they had there's a free online course that I think it was App Brewery or something partnered with Google to make free, and they worked on Flutter. There's also one guy on YouTube who's got a lot of good tutorials. I think he's like the Net Ninja or something. I'll put all that information in the doc, but there's a lot of good resources out there for Flutter if you're interested in that. And actually Flutter 2.0 recently released. So Flutter apps now work on like websites, desktops, and mobile phones. Does anyone have any other questions?
So I had a team in mind. So I was actually just my friend. You know, we had done CS2 and CS3 together, and you know, I came back from my internships. I was like, hey, you know, how much do you guys know about internships? Kind of asked them, and they were convinced with the idea. So it was us three. It was me and two other computer science students who were also in the same level as I was. So we all had a lot of learning to do. We didn't really, none of us really knew how to build a website or deploy it or anything. I was actually very, it was a little hard, but it was very rewarding when we were able to get it. So thank you for that question, Daniel.
And then, so I don't want to answer every question that's not addressed to someone. So does anyone want to answer that, how to differentiate a good from a bad project?
I'll hop in. So to be honest, at least the way that I see it, there really is no main difference for me between a good project or a bad project. You know, a lot of these projects start out because you want to learn something. So like kind of how Nathan explained, he wanted to work a little bit with, learn a little bit more about databases, and so that made him go into React. So a lot of, you know, personal projects just start off by you just wanting to learn something. So if there's something that you want to learn, just start off with the basics and then go from there. For example, I've TA'd CS1 at UTEP. And at that time I had about 150 different students that I had to compile their Java code and run their Java code and do the grading. So instead, I decided to just write a Python script because at that time I didn't know Python. So I decided to sit down, learn Python, and just automate that whole process for me. It took a few hours to hack away at it, but you know what? I came out learning Python. I came out with a tool that made my life easier and made the students' life easier because now I can return the grades back faster. And yeah, I mean, I put it on my GitHub, and now it's just kind of just sitting there collecting dust. But I mean, as long as it benefits you to learn, and you learn something new, then you know that, you know, more power to you. I mean, that's basically what these personal projects are for. I mean, they're for you to learn and then take them to employers and say, this is what I did. You know, I did it because one, I didn't know the technology. Now I know the technology, and you know, if you want to improve on it and make it better, then hey, more power to you. I mean, now I look back at my code that I used to grade CS1 students, and now I can just think of a bunch of other things that I can add to it and make it a lot better.
Yeah, thank you for that response. So we have another one about how do you guys come up with your personal projects? Do they come after a few courses, or did we already have an idea at the start?
Here, I'll mention a little bit for that one. So for like the augmented reality one, Pokemon Go was really popular, and I was just fascinated with augmented reality, and this was already at CS2, so I was like, maybe I could build something like this. And that's kind of where that inspiration came from, just from Pokemon. And then for Internbytes, it was after I had done some experience with internships where I decided to do it. But yeah, I mean, it kind of just, I wasn't going into college or anything like wanting to build an augmented reality app or a website. It did come just from my own experience.
Yeah, and I just want to add on to that too, that like even if you have absolutely no idea how you would even approach doing something, if you're in like an earlier CS, like that shouldn't be a like full-on block for that project. Like if you have no idea how a project would look, you can figure it out. And there's a ton of resources out there. There's a ton of different ways to learn. So if you feel like you don't have like the CS skills to build something necessarily, but like you have an idea and you really want to do it, like being like really determined to get it done can go a long way to learning all the stuff you need to learn to actually do it. And then I think this one probably goes more to Jesus about like the legal stuff. So do you have any advice for that?
Yeah, so I think ideas are just that. They're just ideas. It's not until you actually have something that you can call it yours. And I think you just have to trust the other person if you're going to ask them to help them help you on your project. Unless if you really want to make sure no one steals it, what you can do is you can either trademark the idea. Well, trademarks more for like logos or slogans or names. And then copyright, anything that you put online or anything that you make, it's automatically yours already. There's already copyright on it, unless you say, oh, here's a photo of this cat, I put it on the internet. Anyone can use it. It has a free license, then anyone can use it. Otherwise, that's just yours. Someone else is using your photo without your consent. You can pursue legal action there. So, but I mean, before asking for someone else for help, you're just gonna have to trust the person, unless you really want to go and implement the idea, show that you had it working, or show you had like some sort of process going, and then you can ask them, and then you can ask your potential co-founders or partners if they want to hop on the idea with you. I hope that answered your question. Yeah.
Awesome. So any other questions? It looks like no. So I just want to say thank you again for everyone coming. We have a link on the screen right now. I'll go ahead and put it in the chat. If you could please fill out that survey. I didn't send it as a link, but if you could just fill out that survey, and it'll really help us know who came to these, what you want to see from future CAHSI series and stuff like that. And I do want to say thank you again to Jesus, David, and Jennifer for being part of this and helping make it. And a big thank you to Bianca for helping organize and set everything up. And I think she has a few things she wants to say now to close things off.
Yes, thank you, Nathan, and thank you everyone for attending and participating. I'm Bianca. I'm in charge of student opportunities in the CS department. Before I tell you how to connect with the department, just a few notes. Please answer the survey. We're gonna keep it open in the next 30 minutes. We are recording who is attending. We want to know your feedback and also like ideas of other workshops that we can do in the future. And also at the end of the series of the semester, we're gonna raffle Amazon gift cards. So it's your entry for the raffle, basically. And Nathan, can you go to the next slide, please, really quick? So connect with the CS department. We're very active in our social media. We are gonna have, we are recording this session. We're gonna record every of the workshops, and at the end, we're gonna have a library of these workshops available in the CS website. Also connect in our social media accounts. We are very active on Instagram, and Facebook is where we are posting like all of the events, opportunities, anything that is happening like during the week or the month. Also, we have the CS calendars. If you go to utep.edu/CS/calendar, we have a calendar with 3 tabs. The first one has all the events of the month. And then if you go to the other tab, it has all of the deadlines of opportunities. opportunities, we mean scholarships, fellowships, opportunities to go to conferences. So really check those out. And also just a reminder, we send a CS weekly email every Monday. And this email has like 3 sections. The first one is events that are happening of student organizations in our department. The second one is just general online events like Google, anything companies related. And then the last section is about opportunities. Scholarships, their deadlines are like coming soon. So really take a look at those emails if you're interested like in applying to anything or attending like an event. We have all of the information there. And you can always reach out to us through email or csfrontdesk@utep.edu. Let us know if we can help you with anything else related to opportunities. And that will be it from the department.
So
thank you, everyone.
I can jump in here. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Bianca. My name is Andrea Tiras, and I serve as Deputy Director of the Computing Alliance of Hispanic Serving Institutions. You all know by now that Nathan is a 2020-2021 CAHSI Student Scholar. And so Bianca also received this recognition when she was a student at UTEP. So thank you, Nathan, Bianca, for coordinating this meeting. This invite went out to different CAHSI institutions. Okay, thank you all. And please know that we have many opportunities posted on our calendar of events under the CAHSI website. So that website is open and accessible to you, and hope you stay connected to CAHSI. Thank you, and happy Cesar Chavez Day.